The Marines on One Piece aren't called out enough for their foolishness. Let's start with the lineage of the greatest marine hero of all time, MonkeyDGarp. Setting aside the popular community headcanon that Dragon was once a marine before defecting to form the Revolutionary Army, though there's very little evidence to support this. But one thing remains undeniable: Garp's ties to one of the most dangerous, or the most dangerous man in history should have set off every alarm bells for the marine hierarchy, and yet nothing. And if we were to entertain the theory of Dragon being a former marine, that isn't a recruitment issue, it's a retention problem because of the corruption at the core of the world government. But when it comes to Ace and Luffy, there's no excuse. The Marines had every reason to monitor Garp's activities and family closely, especially after Dragon became who he became. And you're telling me that the entire Marine organization, a force supposedly keeping an eye on order across the seas, had no clue that their so-called hero was making regular trips to an isolated mountain village in the East Blue? I mean, we can even go with the assumption that Sabo was chilling with Ace and Luffy in the Great Terminal but was still nobility, wasn't part of Garp's lineage due to his status and all that. He could not join the Marines because he was too big, him being nobility and all. But the other two, no excuse. You're telling me both Sengoku and Tsuru had no clue? Zero chance of that. Even if no one knew, those two definitely knew that Garp had grandkids in that region. Yet, despite this knowledge, they did absolutely nothing to secure these potentially powerful kids for the Marines. That's not even negligence, that's pure stupidity. You know what? This is the perfect time to take a break. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Enjoy. If the Marines had any foresight, Ace and Luffy would have definitely been recruited from childhood. Ace, the son of the Pirate King himself, was a bona fide prodigy. Even if they kept his true lineage a secret, which they did, he was raw talent wasted, and on paper still Garp's grandson. And Luffy, the grandson of Garp, who inherited his insane strength, conqueror's will, and natural leadership, these two were future top-tier combatants, admiral level, maybe even more, that could have been molded into weapons of justice. Instead, they let them run wild, and surprise surprise, they both became dangerous individuals to the world. The Navy prides itself on strength, yet they continually let these absurdly powerful figures slip through their fingers. They enforce the doctrine of absolute justice but fail to recognize where true power lies. This isn't even a one-off problem. Look at Kuzan, a man who dedicated decades to the Marines, only to walk away because of a leadership dispute. Smoker, a loyal officer who constantly clashes with the government's corruption, and Fujitora, who actively wants to dismantle the current system, both being turned off by the corruption within the system. These aren't even small mistakes. This is a fundamental failure of the Marines to secure loyalty even among their strongest members. Showing is not just about who they recruit, but also who they fail to keep. And the worst part, they don't learn. Every generation they let powerful individuals slip away, whether by piracy, revolutionaries, or even simply disillusionment. The Marines could have had Luffy, they could have had Ace, Dragon, Kuzan, the list goes on, but their own blind adherence to a broken system ensured that they all became their enemies instead. At the end of the day, the Marines aren't just foolish, they are their own worst enemies. Their failure to recognize talent, their unwillingness to adapt, and their obsession with absolute justice, even though that's technically Akainu, has cost them more than they can ever realize. And as long as they continue down this path, the next Pirate King, the next revolutionary, the next Yonko will be someone that they could have had on their side. But maybe that's just the price of their own arrogance. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think the Marines will ever change? Do you think they're doomed to repeat these same mistakes? Drop down in the comments what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Thumbs up.